Alrighty, I'm going to pass it on to Jennifer. If you want to introduce yourself first and then speak a little bit about what we're going to see today.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Jennifer. As Natalie, I'm part of the product team. So today, what we will do is mainly focus on a feature that we have on Houzz, which is a very helpful feature, and I believe will be an answer to what we've actually spoken about today regarding the to-do. The feature is called the task feature. It mainly focuses on creating a to-do. So with that feature, you'll be able to create your to-do according to your needs. And then as well, with this feature, you will also have the ability to add details, so customize your to-do. For each task, you'll be able to add the information that you desire to add, such as description, due dates, or whatsoever. You have also, through the task feature, the ability to remain organized and prioritize all the different tasks that you'll put for you to do. And lastly, you'll also be able to look into how you can keep track of your to-do and tasks by the complete feature, and also for the outstanding task, how you can actually organize yourself with these features. So what we are going to do is to dive into the demo. So I will share my screen, and I believe that a lot of us are quite familiar with the feature with Houzz. So if you do have any question, please do not hesitate. We'll have the ability to look into a Q&A once we are done with the demo. If I'm too fast, do not hesitate as well to let me know so that I can slow down or repeat myself if needed. Okay. So here we have our home page, our main page. I believe that we are all familiar with this page that gave us access to the different feature of Houzz. And in order for us to get to the task feature, we need to select the project section and then click on task. So this will lead us to the task center that will give us an overview of all the different tasks across our project. Why am I showing us this? This will help us to understand actually the tasks that are due, maybe the tasks that we need to prioritize, or the tasks that are specific related to a project that are coming to their due date. So as we can see, we have in the middle of our page all the tasks that are currently pending or due soon. And on the right-hand side, as we can see, we have the tasks that have been completed.
And Jennifer, is this for just one project, or is this for all products at Houzz?
So that will be across all projects. So we have, as I said, this is the task center. So it's a summary or an overview of all the different tasks across all projects. Through these different features here, we have the ability to filter the tasks that we have showing in the task center. Do we have any question regarding this bit so that I can actually dive into the tasks?
Please feel free to either unmute yourself or put something in the chat.
Great. So what we're going to do, as we have seen the task center, we will dive into the task related to a specific project and how we can actually create our to-do. So what
did you have a question?
Any question?
No. No. Okay.
Okay, great. So how are we actually creating our to-do through our project? In order to do so, obviously, we need to get to the project that we want to work on. So here, what I'm going to do is simply through the all project section, going to select the project that I want to work on. Today, we're working on Joystone project. I believe that we are familiar with this page, which is basically a summary of all our project. So I'm selecting Joy's project. And from here, I want to create my to-do because I have plenty of tasks that are related to her project that needs to be done. So in order for me to be able to create my task, through the overview button, I do have some quick links. So here, I'm going to select the task bit. Pretty straightforward. By selecting the task bit, I have access to the task. Per default, I've already created different tasks, but obviously if you have a new project, I believe that this will be empty, so you'll be able to create your new tasks. So in order for me to create my to-do, here we have already 2 different tasks that we have created for our to-do, but I want to add an additional task. So here where I have my plus, I'm able in the field to add a task. Here, what I'm just going to do is to add a task, which is sending the development plan for my project. Here I have my task. Which is very interesting here in this case is that I have the ability to personalize my task or add additional information. I remember that we were able to communicate earlier, and some of the helpful tips that we were able to share is the fact that we want to add information to make sure that we do not forget any information related to our task. So in this case, since I've added my task, I'm able to click on the task that I've added. I'm able to add a number. I remember someone mentioned that we could actually add a number, numbering our tasks. So for instance, if I want to put task number 1, I'll be able to do so. Or even task A, if you prefer to do so. You also have the ability to add your due date. So here, the development plan has to be sent by Wednesday. And what I can also do is share that task on the timeline. We can have a look later on, but you do have the ability to share any task on your timeline if you desire to do so. We will dive into the timeline feature next week. So I'll give you a little preview later on so that you can see how the timeline looks like. So here in this case, I'm going to share that task on the timeline. Something that I can also do is to assign that task to someone. It could be a team member. It could also be a collaborator. It could be a subcontractor, whoever I believe that that person can work on that task. So here I'm going to add my team member. I can also add a description. So I could actually add an information such as to be sent by, oops, sorry. There we go. Description here. It is sent by 6 p.m. And I can personalize that bit with the different sections that I have here, different features that allows me to personalize my text. And from there, I can actually add also the plan, the file that I desired for that task. So that file will be linked to that specific task. So for instance, here I'm sending the development plan. So what I can do is to add the development plan. There we go. And I have the plan that I'm adding here to my task. Once I'm done, I can save the task. Another task that I want to add is a task that I will attribute or assign to my client. In this case, again, in that field, I'm just going to add my task, and here would be to be signed. Oops. There we go. So that would be the second task that is also related to the development plan, which is the development plan to be signed. This task is due not for Wednesday, but this time for Friday. Again, I'm sharing that task on my timeline. And something that I want to do, as I said earlier, is to assign my client to that task. I want my client, obviously, to sign the development plan and make sure that he's fine with the amendment that I'm about to make. So here, I'm assigning this to my client. Something that is very interesting is that once I assign the task to my client, I have an option that pops up, which is the setting, an additional option, which can actually be amended. So I can choose whether I'm making that task private or I can share it onto my client dashboard. In this case, since I want the communication to be fluid and I want the communication to be clear, I will actually share that information onto my client dashboard to make sure that my client can actually see that I've assigned a task and to ensure that he will actually not miss any information. So here I'm clicking on share. I can also add a description as I did for the previous task. I can also attach the file as we did earlier. And lastly, something that we can do is to send a notification email. So again, to ensure that the client can get notified of the task that is being assigned, we can ensure that the email is being sent so that they are aware that something has been assigned to them. If you do not want to proceed, you just need to make sure that this is not tick marked. Once you are done, you can actually click on save, and from there you have few elements in your to-do. Any questions so far?
We have a few different tasks here, Jennifer.
Yes.
How do we reorganize them? Because it looks like they're all just coming out from the order which they have been created.
Yes, indeed, that's correct. So you do have the possibility to change the order of your tasks. So we talked about prioritizing your tasks. We can amend them based on the due date. In order to do so, you just need to actually select the 6 dots that you have here and move the task up or down. And here you have your to-do list that is being reorganized. So this is pretty straightforward in order for you, as I said, to choose the order of your task.
Perfect. And then what happens when you complete a task?
That's a very good one. So once you complete a task, you have 2 different options. You can again select your task, and then on the top right corner, you have the ability to choose between having your task open or your task done. If you click on done, in this case, I'll click here. We see that the task disappears from our to-do list. And something that we have below is the completed task section. So if I click and I open the menu here, I can see that the development plan has been actually moved down below. The second option that is available for us, if I click again and I make it open, there we go. We have the task that moves up. So you can actually open and close your task. Another option that is available to you is to click on the section that you have here. So on the round circle that you have here, by clicking on here, per default, you can see that this moves down again. So you have 2 different options that are available when it comes to completing a task. Do we have any questions so far, or something that you would like me to highlight or dive in or clarify?
Questions, please put them in the chat and I'll call them out as they come.
Okay, so as we said earlier, here we have our to-do. As I explained, we can move around our to-do and the different tasks that we have available. And we can also move our tasks from a open status to a completed status. Something that I mentioned earlier that I would do is to give you a little preview of how a task will look on the timeline. So this is just for you to have a preview. As I said, next week, we will dive into the timeline bit. So in order for you to see your task, as we were able to show, I believe it was, there was a task that we decided to share. Okay, I'm just going to click on this one to share on my timeline. And another one, this one, there we go, to make sure that we have actually something on our timeline. So once you click on the timeline, obviously the timeline related to your project. So we looked earlier through the overview, just for a reminder. Through the overview, you can access your tasks. There we go. You can access your task. In order for you to see your task in your timeline, you will have to access your timeline. So here we're clicking on the timeline. And on the timeline, we can see that we have the dots that are actually our tasks. So this is how our tasks will show on our timeline feature. Any question on how the tasks are being presented on the timeline?
All clear, thank you.
Great,